You see it in every coffee shop and transit car, a room full of people, physically present, but entirely sealed off inside their screens. We tend to treat human attention like an infinite resource, something we can just generate more of if we try hard enough. But biology dictates that attention is a strict zero-sum game. When you hit a wall of exhaustion at 3 in the afternoon, it is rarely because you have run out of time. You have simply mismanaged your attention. Your brain creates a massive biological bottleneck. Despite accounting for only 2 to 3% of your total body weight, it consumes a full 20% of your daily energy. That heavy energy tax powers a highly limited, specific cognitive sandbox known as your attentional space. This attentional space functions as your biological RAM, the high-speed, temporary storage required for every active thought you process. Because this biological RAM has strict physical boundaries, true multitasking is mathematically impossible. Neuroscience reveals exactly why this hardware limitation exists and points to a singular, verifiable method to bypass the bottleneck, a state of hyperfocus. Acknowledging that your brain has hardwired physical limits is the required first step to reclaiming your productivity from an environment engineered to distract you. Look at this diagram to understand the limits of your cognitive capacity. The shaded interior represents your total available attentional space. Automated habits require almost no active processing. Conversely, a complex task will immediately expand to fill the entire capacity of that shaded volume. The danger lies in cognitive overflow. Attempting to force a second complex task into a full attentional space instantly degrades the entire system's performance. Researchers isolated this failure point in a controlled experiment testing the efficiency of professional typists. When these typists were forced to apply conscious RAM to a fluid habit, focusing on their finger placement, their typing speed plummeted and their error rate spiked. Directing conscious focus toward an automated process turns a streamlined habit into a clunky, error-prone sequence. High productivity requires strictly matching the cognitive weight of your work to the specific geometry of your available RAM. If the brain demands singular focus for complex work, it presents a contradiction. Why are we constantly seeking out distractions? In a standard office environment, the average worker switches their attention to a new task or screen roughly every 35 seconds. This chronic context switching is not a modern moral failing. It is an ancient survival mechanism operating exactly as intended. Your primitive brain evaluates novel information as a critical survival advantage. When you uncover a new distraction, your nervous system rewards you with dopamine. Every incoming email ping or social media notification artificially triggers this evolutionary response, conditioning you to hunt for cheap novelty. The inevitable dopamine crash that follows forces you to seek out the next distraction, just to maintain a baseline level of stimulation, killing any potential for sustained focus. Modern technology has weaponized your own biology, converting a natural instinct for awareness into an involuntary cycle of cognitive self-sabotage. This constant cycling of dopamine dictates exactly where the brain processes incoming information. Under the strain of continuous task switching, the brain attempts to conserve energy by offloading data processing to the basal ganglia, the habit center. This region is energy efficient, but it is physically incapable of deep learning. This biological offloading is why you can check your phone while cooking and walk into the next room immediately forgetting if you turned the stove off. Because your RAM was occupied by the device, the physical action was processed blindly by your habit center. No conscious memory was ever recorded. To form a permanent memory, you must dedicate your complete attentional space to a single task, forcing the brain to activate a completely different structure. The hippocampus operates as your biological hard drive, converting the temporary data held in your RAM into highly durable, accessible knowledge. If you fail to engage the hippocampus because your attention is scattered, the hours you spend working leave almost zero permanent trace on your intellect. By preventing the hippocampus from engaging, multitasking effectively erases your efforts from long-term memory. Escaping the dopamine trap requires a deliberate protocol for loading information into our biological RAM. This is the exact mechanism of hyperfocus. It is the conscious decision to select a single, highly complex task and allow it to consume the absolute entirety of your attentional space. To achieve this state consistently, we can apply an actionable framework recommended by productivity expert J.D. Muir, the Rule of 3. The application is strict. At the very beginning of your morning, mentally fast forward to the end of the day and identify exactly 3 significant tasks you want to have accomplished. By artificially capping the list at 3, you force immediate prioritization and defend your cognitive capacity against overflow before the day even begins. Select just one of those 3 tasks, ruthlessly strip away all environmental and digital distractions, and start working. You will encounter immediate biological friction. For the first few minutes, your brain severely craves the dopamine hit of a quick distraction. You have to push through it. Once you break through that initial resistance, the fragmented data clears from your RAM. Your hippocampus fully engages, locking you into a state of deep, sustained flow. By aligning your habits with the hardwired biology of your brain, you finish the day with 3 tangible accomplishments and a deeper understanding of the work itself, rather than a blur of half-finished tasks.